This is part 2 in a series dedicated to our old friend, feminist social justice warrior, Kevin Logan. Today we'll be looking at a second video Kevin Logan has made about yours truly. Now this video can be basically summed up. His responses can be basically summed up by the following 2 clips.
Jack, no, you're wrong. Shut up.
Even though that is the extent of Kevin's analysis and response to one of my videos, I believe that it is important that we conduct a more nuanced inspection of Kevin Logan and his response in order to completely understand who and what Kevin Logan is, and thereby continue to expose feminist and social justice warriors.
Today I'm going to bring to you a guy who, believe it or not, I made my second ever YouTube video about. My first ever sort of response to anything anyone had ever done on this guy. He's called Jack Barnes. Now Jack Barnes is an MRA, and the video I'm about to take you through is entitled at Sargon _of_Akkad, which I presume is Sargon's. I presume it is Sargon's Twitter feed. So he wanted it to go to, or Twitter name handle. So he wanted it to go to him, right? Sargon of Akkad didn't think his petition through. Now, whilst I agree with Jack that Sargon didn't think his petition through, the idea that Jack is in any position to talk about how other people haven't thought stuff through is, to be honest, rather ridiculous. We've got a tweet sent by Jack Barnes, and this is just one of a million examples, right? I read it out here. It's in reply to a brilliant account called at TakeDownMRAs, who you should all go and follow. Brilliant.
Kevin just mentioned TakeDownMRAs, and I would like to take this opportunity to point you towards a video I made completely destroying TakeDownMRAs credibility. Link will be provided in the low bar.
He says, no such thing as a small dick. Just your hole is too big. Tighten up, ladies. Now, of course, that's horrendously misogynistic.
Yeah, I posted that. The idea came to me from sitting around just thinking about how, you know, there's this male enhancement pills, right? Which, I mean, really, there's, who cares? I don't care about it. You know, women get breast implants and butt implants and all that stuff, so it's not a big deal, but I just thought it up. It's like, well, what if, you know, there was someone invented a pill to tighten up a woman's vagina? Feminists would lose their shit over that. They would call it sexist. They would call it misogynistic to have such medication on the market. And so I just kind of, well, how can I flip this around to say that these male enhancement pills are misandric? Right? So I did. I flipped it around in this tweet, and the male feminists especially fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I mean, just, oh, that's misogyny, that's misogynistic. Well, the working definition of misogyny or misogynist is a man who hates a woman as much as women hate each other. So, yeah, well, whatever. You know, call it misogyny if you want, but it worked. The tweet had the desired effect. That effect being for them to call out, you know, call this misogyny. But when you look at it the other way, it's not misogyny, you know, it's not misandry. If a guy's got a small penis, well, then he's something to be laughed at and mocked. But a woman has a vagina the size of the Grand Canyon, to even comment on that is misogyny. See, the double standard, it was to reveal the double standard there, and it worked like a charm. They fell for it, like I said, hook, line, and sinker, man. They just ate it up, and it was like, you people can't see this. You can't see your own double standard, and I just laid it bare for all to see. The extra added bonus, and I did not plan this, but the extra added bonus to this is that especially the female feminists went running around laughing and, oh, look, Jack's got a small dick, he, ha, 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 and all this kind of stuff. You know, this according to you know, the size of my penis somehow has a bearing on my arguments, what I say. And who cares? Whose business is it other than mine and my wife's? You know, who cares? It really showed what these people are about. It showed what they're actually like. You know, so in other words, if I had a large penis, would that make my arguments more relevant, more trustworthy, more accurate. If I had a medium-sized penis, then would my argument just be somewhat trustworthy and somewhat accurate? And what's the metric there? Someone tell me. So yeah, that I'm really proud of that tweet actually.
Well, I don't know whether to be more offended by that or the fact that in that second sentence there are two ridiculously childish spelling mistakes. He spelled two without a second O, and he spelled hole with a W, even though he means hole as in HOLE.
Yeah, the two TO versus two TOO. My bad, my mistake. I know the difference. I just didn't type it. As far as the hole versus hole, the W being there, that was my spell checker. It hates me. I typed in hole, HOLE, and it changed it to hole, WHOLE, without, it was on my phone, and I didn't realize it done it until I'd already sent the tweet. And it had already been out there for a while, and I was like, oh, well, screw it. But yeah, the first one was my bad. The second one is because technology tried to predict what I was supposed to say. You typed HOLE, but we know you meant WHOLE. Yeah, whoever invented the algorithms for this new spell checker on the iPhones, it needs some work, fellas. I just find it kind of interesting that he cannot decide which one is more offensive, the quote-unquote misogyny in my tweet or the misspelled words. That's very interesting.
You really are. But anyway, I just wanted to sort of set the scene there.
You may be wondering what this tweet has to do with my video regarding TakeDownMRAs' petition. Well, he just admitted it. Quote-unquote setting the scene. He's poisoning the well. He wanted to bring all this up beforehand, before we started watching the video, in order just to poison the well to make people think I'm this misogynist, right? So, yeah, that's the purpose of this. And as we saw in the previous video I've done on Kevin Logan, he is notorious for using this tactic, as most feminist social justice warriors are.
But I'm going to show you, I'm going to skip the video in question, right? I'm going to skip the first 3 minutes and 25 seconds, because quite frankly, he rambles on and on about shit, and he goes on about it being, it's censorship, or it's not censorship, I should say, the petition, Sargon's petition. Yeah, and then Jack goes on to essentially lick Sargon's ass about how great Sargon, I want to lick his ring piece. He didn't actually say that. I'm paraphrasing, but only a little. So yeah, so that's what. And he says his first point is that Sargon's petition won't work because universities are just going to rename the courses, and so it's impractical, or whatever. Yeah, so that, just for full disclosure, that's what the first 3 minutes and 25 seconds of this shit fest are.
As with his previous video, he did not link to anything where you could see what I said. He just told you about it. Well, this one he plays portions of my video and discusses them, so I'll give him credit for that. But once again, he does not link to it, just as we saw before. Now, again, this is typical social justice warrior feminist tactics. Don't give your audience the option of going and seeing for themselves. Just tell them what what this evil, awful misogynist said, and they listen and believe. They don't want their followers to think for themselves. And once again, I will be linking to Kevin Logan's original video in the low bars so that you can go listen to it for yourself and make up your own mind.
Right, so let's have a listen what Jack has to say.
I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this, and I really can't, so I'm just going to come out and say the one that I got. Colleges and universities are a big steaming pile of shit.
That's the best analogy you could come up with.
Now, this is a common tactic for a lot of people, not just feminist social justice warriors. Whenever they don't have a counter argument, or whenever they're unwilling to refute what you've just said, they just find something to make fun of about what you said. That's it. That's all they have. So I can't really make a counter argument to his counter argument regarding what I said, because he never made a counter argument. Also, another tactic that could possibly be at play here is the feminist social justice warrior tendency to lead you off topic out into the bushes somewhere, out in the weeds, instead of sticking to the topic. They do this because they know they have no argument. Now, I'm not saying this is what Kevin is doing here, but it is a possibility.
And plucking that one kernel of corn out of it is not going to change anything.
Oh, God, you're such a disgusting person.
Remember a while ago when he talked about me supposedly licking Sargon's asshole, meaning that I was kissing his ass, and yet I'm the disgusting bastard. In other words, this is just more, double think. It's okay when they do it, but it's not okay when we do it, or I do it.
You've got gender studies classes, social justice warriors, the social justice warrior mindset has infected the entire universities from the bottom to the top, all the classes.
And you know this, don't you, Jack? There's no way he knows any of this, but people in the MRM have told him for sure. So that's enough, That's all the corroboration he needs for that theory. And I say theory very loosely, of course. There's no way he's ever set foot on a campus, ever.
The only place that you haven't got full infestation yet is your hard sciences.
Is your hard
and it's there, it's just not full infestation, not yet.
And Jack knows it. Again, he knows this because he's big within academia, definitely.
So by plucking out the gender studies or this social justice warrior part of it, you're not changing anything. It's too late. It's gone too far.
He loves talking about stuff that he clearly doesn't know anything about. You have no idea what academia is about. And look, I'll be honest, I've never taught. I'm not here saying, oh, this is all completely, definitely, blah, 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 blah.
I provided no evidence to back up what I said, but he refuted my argument with no evidence whatsoever. He didn't offer any evidence of his own. So I guess the ball is in my court. Well, where I read these stories about the social justice infestation of college campuses is on websites like Inside Higher Ed and FIRE, Foundation for Individual Rights and Education. Now, those are two websites. One is more sympathetic to the social justice warriors. The other is not. Again, two sources. You can go check them out for yourselves. Another typical social justice warrior tactic is the baseless accusation. Now, I've been on several college campuses, most notably Kennesaw State University, where I attended a men's rights conference. So, yeah, I've been on college campuses, but never as a student, thank God. I went to a technical school that was called a college, but I don't consider it a college because we actually learned something valuable, not social justice nonsense. Now, yeah, true, there are classes that you can take on the university campuses that are of value, but most of it is just this social justice nonsense. I mean, if we removed all of the nonsense off of college campuses and replaced it with learning something useful to society and useful to yourself, a person could become a doctor in 4 years instead of 8 or 12, whatever it takes, A person could become a lawyer a lot quicker. If we replaced those courses that are social justice with courses like in philosophy, and yes, I'm aware that colleges do teach philosophy, but it's philosophy through a social justice lens, not actual true philosophy, where you actually learn how to think. Not learn how they want you to think, but learn how to think rationally, logically. Then, yeah, okay, it would still take the same amount of time to become a doctor as it does now, but you would actually come out being able to think. Those two ways I would highly recommend is either we go back to teaching students how to think, or we do away with that altogether and just teach them what they need to know to be whatever they're going to be. But thankfully, yes, I have never stepped foot on a college campus as a student. I figured out a long time ago that what these colleges were basically brainwashing institutions, and I wanted no part of it. So I went to a technical school, and I think that that was a very good choice. And I highly recommend, especially a young man today who has just graduated high school, don't go to college. Do not go to college. You'll regret it. You'll end up with a lot of debt and no value from it. Go to a technical school of some sort.
3 to 4 generations of college professors now that have been steeped in social justice warrior ideology. Because this
3 to 4 generations. What are you talking about? When did this start then? In the fucking 20s or something?
Okay, what I was talking about there, this is not something that is exact science. I was just using, reason and logic to come up with a rough estimate there. 3 to 4 generations. Okay, let's think about this. I was not talking about, literal lifetime generations like baby boomers and then Generation X and then, that sort of thing. I was talking about, the average lifespan of a college professor from the time that they start college to the time they become a professor themselves. Let's say that takes 10 to 15 years. Okay, you got to go get your bachelor's degree, master's, and then doctor, and all this sort of stuff. And then you go to work at the university, become a professor, that sort of thing. Okay, say that takes 10 to 15 years. Let's just say 15. Okay. When a college professor or student starts in college, it takes 15 years. And then they become a professor. They teach students. Those students, some of them go on to become college professors. We're talking another 15 years. Then those students, some of them become college professors. That's another 15 years. So 4 generations, we're talking, 60 years. Well, if you look at this stuff, when it first appeared, when it first started coming into being, we're talking in the 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Let's just say like 1965, right? That was roughly 51 years ago, give or take, depending on the date, right? So we're talking 3 to 4 generations there. 3 to 4 generations of professor teaches student, student becomes professor, teaches student, student becomes professor, teaches student, right? So again, this is a rough estimate. I was not, didn't get out a calculator to calculate this. So he's latching on to something that he can poke fun at because I was making a generalized statement based on reason and logic. No hard science there.
It's not something that's just been happening for the last 5 or 10 years. This is something that's been going on for decades. Okay, Christina Hobbs Summers bragged about how they defeated these radical feminists back in the day. Bullshit. She didn't defeat a damn thing. All she did was make them go into hiding, make them go underground. And that's the best that Sargon's petition could hope to achieve.
Well, if that is the case, it's not even useless. It's counterproductive.
Kevin and I agree on this, but I think it's a safe bet that we probably agree on this for totally different reasons. Yes, I believe that Sargon's petition was counterproductive. The object of all of this is not to push feminist social justice warriors underground, because underground they can grow and they will come back. The object of this is to make sure that this never happens again, ever. That these people never try to regain power, try to take control ever again. The only way to do that is to get the public to hate and despise the ideology of feminism and the social justice warrior ideology as much as they hate the ideology of people like the Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan. Now, you may say, well, wait a minute, Jack, that's kind of extreme, comparing feminists and social justice warriors to Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan. If you study the feminists and you study social justice warriors, you will begin to see that that comparison is not as extreme as you think. These people are dangerous. These people are totalitarian. They want control over everyone's lives. They want to control what you think, what you say, what you read, what you hear, what you watch, and how you live your lives. and they want to reconstruct the entire human race in their mind, in their worldview. We must stop this now and do so in a way that it never happens again, not from these people.
Is to force these people underground, which makes the problem a lot worse. See, you go and look at these college professors and look in the media at what some of these college professors have said and done, and you find out that not all of them are gender studies professors. They're professors of English or professors of literature or whatever. See, the social justice warrior mindset has infested all of that. It's an infestation.
See, now he's going to bring up this, that academia is all fucked or whatever, right? And this is one of the points I should have made to Saga in the stream the other day, is that you open the door to right-wing scum like this, with the kind of rhetoric that Saga's been pumping out there, that want to do down all of academia, that want to destroy higher education, basically. You know, you can't just target the social justice causes, whatever the fuck that is. And he still, as far as I'm concerned, has not given a satisfactory answer as to what the definition of a social justice cause is. But you couldn't just go after one without opening doors to fucking pieces of shit like Jack Barnes.
Kevin, throughout this entire video, has called me names, and I edited most of that out. Again, I'm going to put a link in the low bar so you can go and listen to his video in its entirety. But the name calling just gets in the way from us having a conversation about his viewpoints and about his video. So again, I edited it out. I'll put all of that stuff at the end so you can hear it. But moving past that, to his point was that if we're going to censor social justice warriors on campus, we got to censor the other people that he doesn't like. Now, he calls me a right-wing scum. Well, he doesn't define what right-wing scum is. Is right-wing scum a racist, or is right-wing scum simply someone who disagrees with our current immigration policy, or disagrees with abortion, or disagrees with, I don't know, our current trade deals? What is right-wing scum? He doesn't define it. So we'll just set that aside as just simply more name-calling to try to muddy the waters. Let's get down to his point. His point was, if we're going to censor one, we have to censor others. Well, I think Kevin has really missed the point of what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to censor social justice warriors on college campuses. We're not trying to completely remove them from the college campus. No, that's not what we're trying to do. I'll give you an example here. The best weapon MRAs and anti-feminists have against feminism is feminists themselves, their own words and actions. So censoring them defeats our purpose. It's like shooting ourselves in the foot there. We remove all of their idiotic ideas from being talked about, being discussed. They can't express them, therefore we can't point to them and say, see how stupid these people are, see how loony they are, see how ignorant they are, see how backwards thinking feminists are. We can't do that if feminists are not allowed to express their ideas. The point of this, and this is I believe what Kevin has missed, the point of this is that regressive leftism, social justice warrior, and feminism is taught as if it is fact, as if it is the only fact, the only proper way to think. Like, for example, now schools teach that the world is round because we know it's round. And that's the only acceptable fact. Well, that's true. We know that to be true. We know that to be fact. Colleges are teaching social justice warrior, regressive leftism, this sexism, racism, all of this ideology, if it is true, if it is fact. We know, number one, it's not fact. It can be disproven easily. But setting that aside, it is someone's opinion. It's like saying communism versus capitalism. We, people like me and Sargon, want everyone to discuss both, because that's the way people learn. Kevin wants people like me and Sargon not to be able to speak. That's what he was talking about us being, or about me at least, being, you know, right-wing scum. You should not be allowed to talk because I disagree with what you have to say. We're saying that everyone should be allowed to talk, but that the colleges should not teach one as if it is the only way, and everyone else is just ignorant, stupid, backwards thinking people. No, we need all points of view expressed. That way the students who have, if they've been taught how to think reasonably and logically, they can look at feminists and social justice warriors and goes, those people are crazy. And that would solve the problem. But we can't do that as long as colleges and universities are teaching one thing and one thing only. That the only civilized, decent people are left-wing social justice warriors, and everyone else is a racist and a bigot and is stupid and backwards thinking. No, we should let college students figure out for themselves who's the racist and who's the bigot and who's backward thinking. And if they've been taught how to think properly, they'll figure out that the racist, sexist bigots are the social justice warriors and the feminists.